Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, we have a confession from one of our sisters who is telling us what is happening with her and the husband after what her husband did. She reveals to us that her husband, after losing his job and getting to a point where money was so much difficult to come by for him, had an agreement with a woman who he slept with for money. This act of her husband, she now says that it has turned out to be something that is fighting against her family right now. Without taking much of your time, let us go and listen to her story. Don't forget to please subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload.
Hello brother, I hope everything is well with you and your listeners. I really have a message that I want to share with you and see the advice that I can get from you and your listeners. I am in my late 40s and I am married to my husband for about getting to 10 years now. And God has blessed my marriage with a handsome boy. I met my husband in a car when I was traveling to see my parents. I was traveling from the capital city to my hometown to see them. And he was also traveling with the same bus, but we get down along the way. He approached me at the station and we talked for a brief moment after he helped me put my things in the car. He sat close to me in the bus and we had a very nice conversation. We exchanged contacts and he got down when he reached his destination. Then I continued to my hometown. We started talking and since we were both living in the city, we sometimes meet and go out for lunch together. We became close friends and I believe in our second year of knowing ourselves, he finally told me that he likes me and would want to move past where he was as a friend. At that particular time, I wasn't going out with anyone and so I gave him a chance, and the rest is history. He is a very hard-working person, to be honest. He is such a fine gentleman and knows how to treat women. This is something that makes him stand out from the rest. The way he will talk to you even when there is an issue that he wants to address, he will come to you in a very nice way, and as a person with conscience, you will realize there is no need to put up a defense when you know you are at fault. And I love that about him. He was a very honest person from day one and that is also part of the reason I accepted to be his woman. Because going into the relationship, I knew there was nothing that he was going to hide from me. This is someone who will not mind telling you his mistakes and owning up to it as a man. So, our relationship was very beautiful because nothing changed from when we were friends to now being lovers. So, when it came to me settling down with him, I didn't hesitate at all. I was all for it because I knew who I was getting married to. We got married in about a year after we started our relationship and we have one child who is a boy. After I had my son, things changed for him in terms of work. The board of the company decided that the company was running at a loss and they can't continue to operate in such a situation and so they asked everyone to go home with a little compensation. Just like that, they closed down their operations. This affected him and the family so much because all this period that he worked with them, it was on contract basis. They give him the contract and when he is done with it, he gets paid. So, as a result of laying them off, we started entering into the money saved. All these whiles, he was searching for job opportunities and none was coming. I know deep down in me that he tried his best to secure himself some job so that it can sustain the family whilst he tries to find a better one. One evening he came home and told me that one of his old friends who was into importation business has advised him to start importing goods from China. He said that the friend said if he wants he would take his money when he is going for his goods in China and add my husband's goods into his container that he will be doing. That way, the money my husband will invest won't be too much, since he is now starting the business. This sounded good, but for some reason I didn't like the idea. I told my husband about it but it seemed his head and mind was all into it already. And nothing I said made any meaning to him at this time. I knew it wasn't him, because he didn't want to stay back home without doing anything. That is what made him not see where I was coming from. My thing was that, even if he wanted to start such a business, we should go online and search for the companies that he wanted to do business with and do the negotiations with them. So that, when his friend goes there and see everything is as we expected it to be, we can just do a wire transaction with them. This he didn't understand. He said that it is equally good because his friend is also giving him a space in his container to pack his goods that he will be buying from outside. His question was, what if we do the online thing and his friend says he no longer wants to add the goods to his container simply because we didn't trust him enough? At this point, I didn't talk again but was only hoping that what I was feeling in me wouldn't come to pass. The truth is that it did come to pass that, after the friend took the money and said that he was going, he never heard from him again. It was later that my husband got to know that his friend wanted to relocate to the United States and needed some amount of money to complete his documentations. That was when he played that smart move on my husband, who, because he trusted his friend so much that friend was able to do that to him. He escorted him at the airport and never knew that he wasn't going to China but rather he was traveling to the States. Just like that, he lost everything he has saved for the period that he worked with this company. The reason why I really wasn't mad at him that much was because I know the person I married. And if he doesn't feel right about you, he will never do business or any of those things with you. So, it was his trust in his friend that brought him this problem. And again, I knew he wanted to start something that will benefit all of us in the future. When it happened like that, he nearly killed himself. It took only God that he didn't die. It happened that I was with him in the house that very morning and our son was ready to go to school. He usually is the one that always takes him to school, but that very day he said I should help him take his boy to school because he wasn't feeling right. In my mind, I felt it as a result of what his friend had done. So I got myself ready and I went out with my boy. Little did I know that he wanted all of us to go out of the house so he can carry out what he planned to do. One of his friends called me and asked of him. I told him that he is home. He said he has called him and the phone is not going through. I told the friend that he is going through a lot and maybe he has switched the phone off. But I told him he will meet him in the house he is there. His friend said that he wanted to come take him out so he will release some of the pain. I was happy for that. Only for him to call me later and ask me to rush back home. At this time, I was even returning from taking my son to school. I wanted to know why his friend was shouting and sounding the way he was doing. He didn't tell me anything. The only thing was that I should come home quickly. I got to the house and saw that my husband wanted to hang himself. The moment he saw me, he started crying. He knelt in front of me and was begging like a child who has done something terrible. He said that I should have listened to you. I am finished, I am finished. I couldn't take the pain he was going through. I was also going through pain, but to see him that way, it broke me. I had never seen him this way ever before in my life. I never thought a day would come that my husband will ever think of committing suicide. At this point, his friend told me that it is best he keeps an eye on him and so, if I will agree to it, he will want to accommodate him in his house for some time. He even said that I can even come and stay there with him for a while till they can find a way to help him. I didn't want to leave my house, but I agreed that he can go with my husband and I will be coming later to see him with my son. We all even went to his friend's house and I later went to pick my son from school. In that evening 2 other friends joined them in the house after they heard the news. So, they called me and I went to the house. They told me that, since I was the wife, they didn't want to do anything without telling me. All of them were now building up their life small, so there was nothing big that they could do for my husband. He was the person who was, if I could say, was on top when it came to business and money. They will come and borrow from him and pay him later. So, they said, they wanted to take him out so that he can forget some of the things. Because staying in the house without doing anything will always have him think about the things he has lost. I knew his friends were genuinely concerned about his situation, and so I agreed. So that night I went home to sleep with my small boy, whilst they also took my husband out. I couldn't sleep. I kept on calling his friend to check if everything is alright with them. He wasn't that type. But at this moment, I couldn't help it. A week after that incident, his friend told him that, since he is managing his mother's school, he would love to employ my husband to just come into the school and teach. It is not permanent, but so that he can earn something small for the time being. At first, he didn't want to do it, but I had to come in and convince him to take the offer his friend is giving him. Because that was the best his friend could do for him. And I didn't want him to refuse that offer. Because they were all trying to put a smile on his face again. Sometimes one of them will come and give him something to keep on him. Because when he was working, he was sorting them out like no one business. He always told me that I shouldn't worry when he gives them money, because someday things can turn, and the good among them will remember him. This was playing right in front of me. Every one of them wanted to prove to him that they appreciate him. When they come to the house and are going, he will give the money they will give to him to me, and he will go back to the bedroom and cry. When he finally agreed and started going to the school, I realized after some time, he was gradually getting out from that state he was in. His friend told me that it wasn't because of anything that he wanted my husband to teach. He said that he will always forget about his issues for most part of the day, since he was going to spend that time in the school in front of the children. And that thing really worked well. I felt my husband was gradually forgetting about the issue. He will come home and talk about some of the kids, how funny they were and all that. One evening, my husband asked me that we should go out. I wasn't feeling well, and so I told him he can call some of his friends and go with them. I didn't want to stop him from going because of me not feeling well. Besides, I wasn't afraid, because I knew the man I married. So he called 2 of his friends and they went out. He returned late. And before he returned, his friend called to find out if he had gotten home safely. I wondered why he was asking me that, because I thought he would be dropping my husband home. But he said that my husband had someone different dropped him. So, went home straight from there. That is why he was checking to see if he has come home. Just as he ended the call, my husband got in. I didn't ask him anything. When after he washed himself, he told me that he met some lady he used to know back in the days, who offered to drop him off home. This lady that my husband met brought about the changes that happened and the problems I am facing in my marriage now.
The continuation of this story will be available today at 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Don't forget to please subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Like I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. This story tells me of how a wife should get to know her man well before marrying him. She reveals a certain aspect of their relationship that made me happy whilst listening to her. You see, when you meet someone and you feel you want to start something with the person, get to at least know some key aspect of the person. Because the moment you do, you will be with this person for the rest of life. And so, let us try and get to know our supposed partners very well before we start making plans for the marriage. And to our dear men, sometimes when taking certain decisions in the marriage, let us try as much as possible to also take the decision and ideas of our wives also into the perspective of things we are doing. Because most at times, because they are coming from a neutral place, they sometimes see the flaws in the things that we want to do. But because of ego as a man, we always try to make our views a priority. I pray that we learn from some of these stories and live a better life. If not for anything at all, it pays to live a decent and better life. Stay blessed and be safe. Thanks for being a part of this growing family. Kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share.